For all the wrongs that narcissists do, they do not think it warrants you ever leaving them or abandoning them. Abandonment is one of the narcissist's greatest fears, and they are dealt a major blow when it does happen. In addition, there are certain things that can trigger their abandonment issues, which gives way to the narcissist lashing out, becoming very angry, or behaving themselves and love bombing you so that you can reassure them you are not going anywhere. But also, there are simple things that can happen in everyday life that can trigger this fear of abandonment for the narcissist. But before we get into that, I would just like to welcome and thank everyone for clicking on this video. For those who are new here, my name is Clarice, and this channel is all about exposing narcissists. And to those who faithfully click on my videos every week, I really do appreciate it and do hope that my videos continue to be a benefit to you. Okay, today I want to delve into what can trigger one of the narcissist's greatest fears, which is the fear of abandonment. I just need to add a quick disclaimer that I know that it is not only narcissists who suffer with abandonment issues. So although some of the stuff I speak about may relate to other people, please remember I am only talking about narcissists. Right. So abandonment refers to being left behind or discarded, and that can make anyone feel devastated. But at the same time, for many of us, it is not something we think about frequently, whereas narcissists worry about being abandoned constantly. This feeds into their insecurities of not being worthy or good enough. And their way of trying to prevent it is to lie, scheme, and manipulate. And if that doesn't work, they lie, scheme, and manipulate some more, hoping that people never catch on to the fact that they are using and abusing them. A good example of this is when we take our affections away from the narcissist and also stop reacting to them. Alarm bells start going off in their heads. This is something I talked about in this video, where I explained if the narcissist realizes that you stop caring about them or the relationship, they start putting in the work to discourage you from leaving. It is because the narcissist would always prefer to be the one doing the discarding. They do not care how they hurt you when they do this, but they do not want you to do it to them. So basically, that is one of the triggers. If you stop caring or reacting to the narcissist, that brings the fear of abandonment to the surface. And the narcissist can either become very angry or resort to love bombing you. It all depends on what reaction they think will work best. Because if the narcissist knows you are afraid of them, then they are likely to respond with more aggression, as it may have worked in the past. But if they know that will push you away faster, then they will resort to love bombing you instead. Some of them would try both if they realize one way didn't work. But in either case, the narcissist will never forgive you or let you get away with triggering that fear of abandonment. The narcissist will be looking for a way to punish you, and in most cases, it is by smearing you or discarding you when you least expect it. Something else that triggers the narcissist, which is usually overlooked, is making them wait. This includes when you don't respond to their texts or missed calls in a timely manner, when you arrange to meet them somewhere and are late in turning up, when you are supposed to do something for them and are taking too long. All these situations can make the narcissist nervous, fearful, and angry because they believe you are abandoning them. and there is a strong possibility you will never return their call, show up, or deliver what you promise. In order to avoid waiting, some narcissists would retaliate instantly by not being there when you show up or block you so that you're not able to reach them. They do this to make you chase them in turn and make you feel obliged to make it up to them. A narcissist I knew refused to wait around for me even for a few minutes. I would get there, but they are not there, and I end up calling them to find out where they are and end up arranging to meet them elsewhere. But I was already being devalued, you see, so they would do this to me. But if it was someone else, they would have kept waiting. Not that they are ever happy to do this, but it all comes down to whether they are trying to impress you or not. What is guaranteed, though, is that if you keep a narcissist waiting, even in those cases where they try not to make a big deal about it, they will look to punish you for it. Narcissists are paranoid and they think we intentionally go out of our way to make them wait, which in turn triggers their fear, and they then feel justified in their actions to hold it against us and punish us. When we decide to finally ignore a narcissist or discard them, it is one of their worst fears coming to pass, and depending on what role you played in their lives, the effects can be really devastating to the narcissist. The fact of the matter is that narcissists fear being abandoned, but they are not willing to do what it takes to avoid being abandoned, or they don't seem to realize that their way of doing things is not the best way. They seem to think they should be able to get away with whatever they want and not pay the price or have any consequences for their actions. So when a narcissist overreacts because you take too long to respond to their text message or acknowledge something they posted on social media, or you are late showing up somewhere, it is because these things are a trigger to their abandonment issues that are made worse by their paranoia and thinking that you are intentional in your actions, even though you may have a very good excuse. Dealing with narcissists can be very stressful, and some of the ways they get back at you, especially if they are a covert narcissist, may not be too obvious, as they can be very passive-aggressive. But that is why I did this video highlighting 7 passive-aggressive ways the covert narcissist fights back or like to punish people. Because with narcissists, no deed goes unpunished. So if you want to know more, click here to watch that video. And I would also like to hear your experiences of how a narcissist reacted when you showed up late or didn't respond to one of their text messages on time or returned a missed call on time. Please let me know in the comment section below. But that is it for today. As always, many thanks for listening.